I'm Leanne Tran, psychologist who's worked with families whose kids don't fit the mould for almost 20 years. I've worked with children for decades, but I know parents are the real change makers when it comes to their kids. Having 3 kids of my own means I know it's not easy. Parent Like a Psychologist is all about simplifying how you support your kids with psychology information filtered through years of experience to take you from overwhelmed to confident. Come on in. And that's because the two are tied together. But what's really challenging in neurodivergent kids or typical kids who just have these two challenges is that they then interact. Sleep challenges are linked to screens sometimes. Screen challenges can be difficult to solve on their own, but cause sleep problems. But the thing too is with neurodivergent kids, sleep can be harder and screen use can be harder. So, and then when they interact, it can be quite challenging for parents. Uh, I don't know if any of you have noticed this, but whether your child struggles to fall asleep after they've had a lot of screen time, or particularly after they've just used it at night, or if you've noticed this in yourself or your partners, screens really impact the ability to sleep directly. And so today I want to break down the science between the blue light and sleep and talk about simple ways to reduce that interference and try and offer some alternatives for a calmer bedtime. So, I want to talk about the impact of blue light on sleep cycles quickly because you may have heard a lot about this before. Let me know if that's incorrect and I can expand on it because sometimes the things that are familiar to me as a psychologist might not be to you as parents. I get lots of information about it, but maybe it's just through journals and articles and things that I come across, but it's not as common for everybody. And then talk about creating tech-free zones and times, and then some alternative activities that actually work. So, to start with, the impact of blue light on sleep cycles. I mentioned this actually, no, I've recorded them out of order. I mentioned it in one coming up, but just had this situation 2 nights ago where my child was up one night just having difficulty sleeping. And then the next night, I saw after dinner, going to look at the phone, which I saw sometimes, even though that's not what we're meant to do. They have this addictive lure, don't they? And I was saying, no, stop. You have to not look at it so close before bed. And this is the reason why it's these blue light that is what screens emit, that disrupts melatonin production in our brain. And so the reason for that is that as we wake up and the sun is up, that suppresses our melatonin naturally, so that then through the day we're awake, and then as the sun goes down, our brains start to produce melatonin. And so the blue light suppresses that melatonin release for up to 30 minutes. Sorry, not 30, 90 minutes. And it's similar to kind of going out and it being really bright. So when melatonin is not released for an extra 90 minutes, that delays sleep onset. That means that, kids don't get that natural urge to go to sleep, and it reduces the sleep quality as well because kids aren't getting that. It's disrupting that clear pattern of day versus night. When kids have that onset difficulty, and I don't know if you've experienced this as an adult before, but it's something I've heard lots of adults talk about where they say they've missed their window. So if they don't go to sleep when their body's kind of telling them and they feel like it and they miss that window, then they could be up for another couple of hours. And so that's something that can happen for kids as well. So neurodivergent kids are more affected by this, and ADHD kids already struggle with delayed sleep phase because their melatonin production is affected by ADHD. And kids with autistic kids often experience difficulty with sleep, and so they can often have fragmented sleep, and that means that, we want them to be able to get to bed and get as much time in sleep as possible because it's already perhaps more fragmented and, less solid sleep. So you can do some things that helps reduce the impact of sleep on screens, and this is creating tech-free zones and times, or using or that's probably and using alternative activities at nighttime. And so there's two easy ways that you can do this. One is a really clear boundary of no screens in the bedroom. This is non-negotiable in my house, even during the daytime, because just find that it's all or nothing seems to work better. It's easier. And not to mention the screen kind of an online safety component. So that means encouraging charging outside the bedroom. This is, a non-negotiable in our house as well. We have a set place where all of the screens are charged. Get an alarm clock if that's the excuse that your teens give you or kids. There's lots of other things you can do. So you can get an alarm clock for waking up in the morning. If they like to read audiobooks, you can read ebooks, you try and get a Kindle, or something similar. Or if they like audiobooks, see if you can just set up a speaker, which is what we do. So the phone's outside the bedroom and it Bluetooths to your speaker in the room. So no phones in the bedroom. That's pretty clear on our part. The other one is having a powered down hour. And so this is where you'd really try to encourage no use of screens or tech. I'm saying screens, that covers it all really. Phones, iPads, even computers, and even TVs. 90 minutes before bedtime is great. If you are a family who's rushed, and lots are because their kids have activities, or you work and have after school care until late, or they have, activities and sports that go past dinner, maybe an hour is okay if that's all you can do. And then what you want to do is try and counteract that blue light with a warm light kind of feel. So using dim, warm lighting to signal bedtime. It's that the blue screen is not great for sleep, and the warm light is good for sleep. But also, in my mind, it signals that clear transition time. And so, for us, for example, it's dinner time. We've finished cooking. The big lights tend to be turned off, and it's lamps or softer lights. And it's also the time the screens go away. So it's being consistent about that helps to it be really clear that, and being clear about it, and that like environmental signal that it's time to switch gears seems to help the kids keep the boundary as well. And then what can you do instead? I often talk with families about some alternative activities that work, screen-free wind down ideas. And these could be things like reading. That's a great option. I mean, I love to read, so I'm always suggesting to my kids to read instead of something else. Puzzles is a good one. Drawing, storytelling, if you have time together and you can be interactive, you can read together. You can do things that directly promote relaxation as well, like guided meditations, putting on relaxing music. My family, which by saying that my family do it, gives away that I don't actually partake in this, but my husband and my kids tend to do like a stretch routine after dinner. And so that's something where they go and kind of do a bit of yoga or something like that. Pilates or just stretching, which is kind of nice because they get to talk about their day and that kind of stuff as they do it. And it's good for the body and the mind to start relaxing and getting into that bedtime routine. Now I'm sitting here thinking, why have I not joined in? I really should next time. I'm probably, life's busy, right? If one of you can do it and the other can get something else done, sometimes that's useful, but it would be a good idea. And so, my guide for parents on this is that you need to pick an activity that's not very exciting. And that's hard, I know, because you need to pick an activity that kids will like to do. But what you really need to avoid are ones that are exciting and kind of wind your kids up. And obviously, I mean, we all kind of know that to some degree, but it's the things that they might find super exciting that get them going. So, for example, if your kid's really into puzzles and once they start, they just want to do it for hours, don't pick that activity. It has to be something that's not, it's almost like just something you do to pass the time for a little bit. And so let me know if you've got ideas because these are some ideas that I have and think about, and they work well with my family, but your all families are different. And so sharing some of these ideas can be really useful for other families who don't find it as easy. So I am keeping this episode a bit shorter today because one of the things I'm going to move on to recording is the sleep program that I've talked about a bit on the podcast to kind of make myself, I've committed so much I can't get out of doing it. That's unfortunately how I motivate myself sometimes. But as part of that, it includes a recording of some muscle relaxation and that kind of stuff that you can use as a family for some of these this time. So when you're doing all those wind down activities, sometimes it's like, you can use apps. There's Smiling Mind app. There's I know that Center app that Chris Hemsworth does. They have relaxation ones that are good for kids because they're kind of funny. Or yeah, lots of other alternatives. But I run through one which is a muscle relaxation one. And because I do that in sessions with kids quite a lot. And so that's something that you can download as part of that and play for your child at bedtime as well. And my goal for that is that sometimes, you're spread thin as a parent. You've got more than one kid to put to bed. So if that's something that you can use a pre-recording for one child while you're helping the other, that could be a really helpful thing. So I'm off to do that today. And yeah, so then go ahead, find that, look for it, and download that, and let me know what you think. Also, if your kids are interested in particular things, you can make the relaxation about those things as well. So let me know if your child thinks, if you tried it and they're like, oh, that was boring, we don't want to do it again, let me know and I can adjust it to something that is based around their interests. So, for example, whole body relaxation is one that's really common, but I did it with a young lady the other day who loves Harry Potter, and it was Hagrid relaxing because if she remembered Hagrid saying these things in his voice, and she enjoyed it more, but then also was more likely to do it at home and practice because she remembered Hagrid. So, yeah, you can easily adapt these things, and that's super helpful for neurodivergent kids a lot of the time. So, let me know. I can put it on YouTube. We can create a whole suite of. Oh, actually, YouTube's another good place to look for them, but this isn't great for bedtime. You don't want your kids to be watching it. So, maybe I will add it to the podcast channel somehow. I don't know. If you're great at tech, get in touch and let me know because I'd love to be able to, yeah, create some ways that can, without too much tech input, help you out at bedtime. On that note, I will sign off and look forward to catching up soon. Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Parent Like a Psychologist. If you found it helpful, please share on Instagram so other parents can benefit too, and tag me at Leanne Tran Psychology so that I can say a big thank you. Head over to leannetran.com.au to join the village for bite-sized psychology tips straight to your inbox. I really hope this podcast has brought a new perspective and you a step closer towards a calm parent and a thriving child. Have a delightful day.